time to speak to you on the floor. This House, a lot of people have congratulated you. I'd like to add my voice. Didn't always agree with you, Minister, but rural Ireland was at the heart of your policy and that suited me. Now, 2 questions to you, Minister. Your 40 million package to community groups, it's really important and valuable. However, there are a lot of community groups, let's say, who run community centres. They might have creches in them, language schools, they might just have card games, enterprise centres, etc. But they wouldn't qualify for your new scheme. Now, those groups, they have no day-to-day income and there's increasing costs, everything from utility bills to insurance, etc. It's all run by volunteers, so they have nothing to keep them going. And they also know that when the time comes for these centres to open, it's going to take time for whatever little businesses were there to get up on their feet again. So what I'm asking you is there any way you can give some direct help, some small grant aid to, if you like, even keep these community groups on life support? Because you know, and I know, with the closure of all of the, whether it's post offices or schools, I'm not even going to give the long list, that very often the GAA pitch and the community centre is all that's left in rural Ireland, and if they close, that's a disaster. My second question is around LEADER, and just a comment first, the importance of transition funding and that LEADER is returned to CLLD, community-led local development. But as you said yourself, that's for the next minister. So my question to you is, I would ask for your support in this, that LEADER would be able to increase its grant aid from 50 to 75% for the SME sector. As you know, some of the programmes were delayed and LEADER companies have money to spend, and with COVID that delayed the spending further. So many SMEs can't avail of 50% grant aid. With COVID, it's not high enough. So this money is sitting there, but it can't be used by the SMEs that need it most. Now, I know there can be issues around state aid, but the Commission have said they're very flexible. So what I want to ask you, Minister, is will you look at changing that and allowing them to give higher levels of grant aid so that LEADER money is spent, but it's also spent within the rules of state aid and the flexibility allowed by the Commission? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for your comments. First of all, in relation to the community centres, 2 things about them. We try to fund them where possible through dormant accounts, and I have not so much for the day-to-day running, because the Community Services Programme does that, where we pay for the manager and we pay for staffing. That's already there. We didn't cut back that in any way. In fact, we've been very lenient in relation to that. And in relation to repairs to community centres, there's a small fund there. I came under pressure. It shouldn't be me, because it's local authorities in some cases, 90% of the cases that actually own these community centres, voluntary groups own them, and some of these centres throughout the country came into difficulty last year. I set up a little fund under dormant accounts where they can make application for repairs now, not for the day-to-day running of the centres, for repairs. In relation to the Stability Fund, I've actually drawn funding from that. That was I wanted to get an immediate reaction for groups that were in difficulty, particularly where their funding had been cut because they were not able to go out there and raise the funding that they were raising. And that fund has been set up now. I'm waiting for them to adjudicate on it. Now, all the other services, the Community Enhancement Programme, I put out $2.5 million to the local authorities so they could deal with local problems where there was local services, and particularly I get the money one direction on it. Anyone that was doing frontline services was to get priority. I let them make the decisions themselves in relation to the community, and I got that money out to them, delivered. And all the other schemes in relation to LEADER, the LEADER, like I said, The next minister can make the decision in relation to how it will be administered. My concern now is that we get some funding either from Europe or central government to continue the gap between the closing of the scheme and the opening of a new scheme, and I think that's very important. Negotiations at the moment are being put on again for another year. Something has to be done in the meantime in relation to getting some funding there for them to continue on. I'm not getting into the row.
Thank you, Minister. We're over time, unfortunately.
I have to be honest, and I'm going to be honest. Just 1 second, Carla. Just to be honest, if there's one scheme that caused me nothing but trouble in my department, has been Leader. I have done everything in my power to make it easier for the Leader companies to operate. I've changed every single rule that they've asked me to do. If that's within the rules and it can be made to central government, I wouldn't be afraid to make it. But if it's European rules, I can't break that.
Thank you, Minister.